Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Grief Talk. Today's conversation takes a slightly wider lens as we explore the deeper human experiences of releasing, embracing the present, learning from our relationships, and understanding true love. And my special guest today is Paul, someone who brings a grounded, soulful perspective to how we live and love more intentionally. So, welcome to the episode, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Mara. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm looking forward to our conversation. It's such a heartfelt subject.
Thank you so much for being here. So, Paul, can you share a bit about yourself?
Sure, happy to. I was a very young man when my father passed on. I was 16 years old.
I'm sorry.
We had some very intuitive experiences with that. My mother had dreams that my father was leaving the family. The night before his passing, I kind of turned and looked at him. He was sitting in his chair reading the newspaper, and it's almost as though he disappeared. He got very faint and vague, and I just had this kind of funny feeling, And in the morning, I woke up early. And my grandmother came in and got me, and went to my father and mother's room, and his body was there. The paramedics were just leaving. And I just turned to my mother and I said to her, "That's not my father. He's no longer here." And I just remember so poignantly that experience because it led our entire family, because it was very sudden, it was unexpected. He was 50 years old. It was very unexpected. It led us to a lot of deep searching,
Mhm.
about life, spirituality in life, all the intuitive sides of life where you have those kinds of knowings or mystical kinds of experiences that are seem to try and tell you things about life, including the passing of a loved one and so on. And we just really started to explore all that. And I got involved in a group that kind of showed this bigger picture
Mhm.
of the soul and the body. I'm a soul with a physical body, not a body with a soul. And that became kind of a benchmark of me beginning to, as a young man, look at life from a different perspective of life as a school. Planet Earth is a school. We're here to learn and grow. There is no death because you can't kill the soul. Now a lot of people don't believe that. I know folks in the Jewish faith, they believe, or at least when I related to them years ago, they believe that that's it. You're done. You no longer exist when you pass on. It's just in the memories and what the living people carry on from your relationship. So I explored that a lot. And that led me to doing this kind of work. I started to give lectures and give workshops on the whole entire side of the soul nature and all the aspects of that, including life and death, before birth and after death, and so on, and made a career out of that. I took training in ministerial services and have a doctor of divinity in that, and it's just been a profound experience to be able to share these kinds of pieces of one's life. And I have many other experiences with passing members in our family, including a child that we had that passed on when he was 13 months. So it's just been a lot of very beautiful and yet poignant experiences that I can resonate with pretty much any culture, any religious background, because I've been there.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all this, Paul. I didn't know so much about you, and well, this is all very powerful. Losing someone, well, it's a life-altering experience, and this is something that hits everyone of the family in a different way. And the grieving process is different. The whole journey is different. And so, what practices do you think can help someone from accepting and the resistance of this to presence, like, in terms of that person not being around them. So what do you think, what practices can help people who are grieving?
That's a great question. And one of the first things that I feel that people need to do, and that I've done in the deaths in our family, is to find the value in that relationship from the aspect of what was good about that relationship. And I know sometimes people have deaths in the family and the relationship may not have been good. There may have been friction in that relationship and so on. But within all of that, what was the value of that relationship to me personally? What did I learn from that person about myself, about life? If there was something that I would do differently in that relationship, what is it that I might do differently? Maybe I'd make more phone calls to that person. Or maybe I'd find a way to be more patient when we're talking together. So I make the relationship something that has value and lessons that can create wisdom for me that then I can turn around and also pass that on to other people, help other people with that, so that that life becomes a gift that pays itself forward even after the person is gone. So that's one of the big practices that I do. I remember a recent memorial service I did where the brother and the sister were from very different faiths and beliefs. This one was way more spiritual in her bigger picture beliefs of life in the universe and the soul. This person was very, very religious and dogmatic about what they felt heaven and hell was and so on. And so to help them connect together for the greater good that they both wanted, we had to bridge the gap there. And that was one of the things that we talked about was great, putting aside beliefs and all that for a moment. What was the relationship for you, just personally? If you didn't define it with any words or biblical references or this or that, what did that life mean to you? And by having that conversation, it helped them to relax with each other, heal some, and find value not only in the person that passed, but now in this new small connection of communicating with each other. So it rose beyond the differences there. And my wife also does the same work that I do. And many years ago, she got a call from a very close colleague and friend. Her mother passed on. And she asked Susan to fly down to Texas to help officiate the memorial service and the funeral service. And this is a very small town in Texas. And everybody knew this person. They were a pillar of the community. The family was very dysfunctional. Lots of family members there. Some people liked the lady, some people didn't. The townspeople had different connections, but they decided to have the memorial service and invite anybody that could be there. And the way that Susan and our colleague crafted it to honor and value everybody and to make this a celebration of life for this person who did live a good life and was helpful to people, it brought the whole town together. They put aside the differences for just a moment and found the respect and value in this person's contribution to their community and so on. And of course, the family had to put aside their differences because everybody else around them was being positive and uplifting. And what's the family going to do? No, that's not right. No, they couldn't do that. So because there were other people's experiences. that were good with that person. So how do you deny that somebody else had a good experience, even
Yeah.
though you didn't? So just the connections help that grief process and finding the value in that person's life to me personally and what I've seen them do is very helpful. That's why sometimes they call them celebrations of life anymore rather than funeral services or memorial services, because it's actually celebrating this person who lived a life.
Well, I have often seen that grief can often pull us into the past or trap us in what ifs. How can people stay grounded in the present while still honoring this thing that is no longer around them, this loss or whatever, this person or this thing that they have lost? How can they stay grounded in the present?
Well, number one, for me, Mayor, there's a mindset attitude that that I counsel people with and I need to embrace. And that is the past is just that. It's gone. The only thing I have is the experience that I have from that and whatever wisdom I've gained from it. But the reason why people have trouble with that is because inside they're still thinking about the woulda, shoulda, coulda, is what if I did this, what if I did that, and in the way that they're thinking that they can change the past. They can't change the past,
Yeah.
and so feeling guilty about it, feeling resentful of that person, it's a waste of time because I'm not going to change it. What I can do is, again, this is why I talked about the first part of learning and growing. I can look at that and I can go, okay, today, this is what I might do differently. So it's finding the lessons there, bringing them into the present and applying that. Okay, I just was always very impatient with that person when they would call me up when they're around me.
Mhm.
I didn't like it when I was that way. It didn't feel good. I felt angry. It made me upset, made me physically ill, whatever that is. I need to change that method. And now that other person that still bothers me a little bit like that, I'm going to change it. I'm going to treat that person with a little bit more reverence and respect because I know they're going through their stuff too. So, so the grief part of it, the living back there just helps me in a very um, unclear way. It doesn't really help me to do that.
Mhm.
So what can I do today to honor and value that person, to be proactive in the present, to live here in the present, not even worrying about the future. The future, I can set my goals on, but that's not come either. Worrying about the future is also a waste of time. So finding that I am taking a deep breath, relaxing, meditating, praying, whatever it is I do, to find that I am here today. And I know that sounds simplistic, but it really truly is as simple as here I am right here now.
And now this brings me to my next question that when we talk about releasing in the context of grief, so what do you think it means to you personally? Like, is it about just about letting go or is it something deeper? Releasing.
For me personally, I can tell you that in the death experiences that I've had, the the thing that did help me to release was to establish in my mind what that relationship truly meant to me. And including if it's a tough relationship. Okay, great. That person's now gone. The abuse is gone. However heavy duty it was, it's gone. What am I feeling and experiencing for myself now?
Mhm.
So when our son passed on, it was again very unexpected. It was chicken pox kind of thing that went through the daycare center, and it impacted his lungs. And, he very quickly succumbed to that. And so for some reason or other, it went into, he'd had pneumonia when he was an infant. And I think his whole system was just really out of whack. And I remember him when he was probably a month before he passed on, he was learning to climb the stairs. And there was a certain point where he looked through the banisters with this amazing giant smile, like he was the happiest person on the planet. And in my head, this weird voice, it wasn't normal thinking. It said, "You have no idea what this life means to me." And it was looking right in the eyes at me. And then a month later, he passed on, and I thought, wow, wow. And in my thoughts, I went, he loved his life. He lived his life. It was amazing. And what's the difference between a life that's fully lived at 13 months and a life that's lived at 80 years? It's just experiences that person had, and he had experiences climbing up the banisters and so on. So just that acknowledgement that this person has lived a life and there was value in that life, no matter what, helps me release the responsibility of my engagement in that life as a parent, for example. I'm not in control of what is going to happen to that individual.
Yeah.
Whether you call it God or the greater universe or the direction or whatever, I am not the one in charge of that. So I have to allow the experience to take place. That helps me release the energy. I do the best that I can. I give everything I can in that relationship. While I still respect myself, I have to maintain my own self-respect, but that helps me to let go, realizing that there's beauty here. There's beauty in what's happening. And I'll tell you another experience, Mayor, actually two other poignant experiences. My sister passed on when she was 57. She quickly succumbed to a brain aneurysm. And she was in Massachusetts, so they took her to Massachusetts General Hospital, the ER did, and they had her all hooked up and so on. It was very devastating. It did not look good at all. And the doctors were some of the best in the world. Massachusetts General Hospital has one of the best neurosurgical uh, 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 departments in the world, and they did everything they could. But there was just nothing that was going to help her to regain her uh, her viability, and so she was an organ donor. So they took her down. So as they disconnected life support, I had my eyes closed. I opened for a minute and then closed my eyes again, and we were continuing to sing this song. And Mary, it was the most beautiful thing that I've witnessed in many of these kinds of instances. I could see my sister engaged in light. She wasn't going towards the light. It was just light everywhere, bright, beautiful light. And she was moving in that. And I was very aware of her experiences, her divorce, childhood things. I would see these experiences. But as she kept moving forward in this energy of lightness, those experiences became smaller and smaller until I couldn't see them anymore. And it was just her, just her. And as the experiences got smaller, she got brighter. And and then we stopped and then we had to leave and so on. But I remember that experience so beautifully because it was a representation. What do you believe? Whatever you believe that experience was for me, imagination or reality, whatever you believe it is. What that meant to me was no matter what somebody goes through, it has value. Even the tough times, the divorce, it had value to my sister as that being. That helped me release my sister because I knew she was okay. I knew that she was full of life and energy and so on. So that's a piece of it is letting go so that wherever you think the soul is, whether it's sitting at the feet of God or going on to another life or whatever that is, you allow that energy to take place. You let go of that person. Just like as a child, at a certain point, I have to not stop trying to tie their shoes. They have to learn to tie their own shoes. I have to let go and allow life to happen. So that's one thing. Number two, on releasing and letting go, I'm still living. I'm still here. I've got another 30 years to go. What am I going to do with that 30 years? Am I going to stay in the prayer chapel and grieve for 30 years? No, I have to, at some point, let go of releasing my life back to living that again. And that's so powerful and important because the next story that I'll tell you is about my son-in-law who passed on from pancreatic cancer. He had symptoms, but he didn't actually have it looked at until it was stage 4, and it already started to metastasize. 2 years, my daughter and he and my niece fought that, and eventually they succumbed to that. It was very cathartic, heavy duty. I was there quite a bit, trying to help them with medicines. As his body began to deteriorate, we had to help him physically more and more and more all the time. He began to feel at peace because he realized that he was leaving. His biggest concern was the well-being of his wife and his daughter. And we had to keep helping him to let go and that we had their back. And no matter what, they were going to be well taken care of and provided for. And they are. Well, my daughter in that next year started to feel a complete change in her life. For 20 years, they'd been together. He was he was an alpha male. He was a very strong male. And she would kind of take the back seat to a lot of things. Well, now all of a sudden, here she needs to rise up, become herself again without anybody else dictating or telling what to do, shouldn't do, this is right, this is wrong. She had to handle the life of her niece, I mean, her daughter now, completely on her own. And she called me up, maybe it was a year after. She says, Dad, she said, I'm finding the new me again. Some of it I had suppressed being around my husband. I didn't want to use any names. My husband, and I'm finding this new energy for me, this new life, this new experience. She's now got an amazing boyfriend that they're just so connected together. If you don't let go, you can't have the new experiences to come forward.
So true.
So we have to release, let go, and then move again. And it's as simple as I can't put any more water into this cup until I pour some out of it.
Yeah.
I have to release something, and then I can put the new water in there. So that's a piece of it, Mehr. I hope that helps answer that question a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. It does. So, Paul, if you could leave our viewers with one message about grief and love, what would it be?
That energy from my experience, that energy of love is the most powerful force in creation. Again, however you define creation. It heals, it changes. So, number one, to be able to look in the mirror and love myself for who I am, to be able to feel good about looking in the mirror. No matter what, there are no mistakes. They're just stepping stones to learn and grow and get better the next time. So that's number one. Number two, to apply that love for myself that I feel to all the relationships I have around me, because that to me is what true love is.
Mhm.
It's that energy of not expecting, assuming, or demanding anything. It's a live and let live kind of feeling. The golden rule: do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That says treat myself also like I would treat others, because I will treat others the way I treat myself. Even if I'm giving, there's a place where I'm not being true, being taking care of myself too. And then that way I can help other people to go where they need to go, allowing them to have the experiences that they need to have. If they need to cry for 10 days, great, I'm there to back them. Let them do it. I love you. I'm here for you. I back you. I don't try and change it. I don't try and fix them. I just let them be and be there for them. So in the energy of death and grief, the grief talk and so on, it's finding the resilience and the courage inside to just be and share my love, not my overbearing love,
Mhm.
but my true detached love, to allow whatever needs to happen to happen. So that's the thing that I would say. Love yourself first,
Yeah,
because then you truly have an immense amount of love to give to everybody else, and it's unending.
yeah.
And with that love, the last thing I'll say, Mary, with that love, all the solutions will come because of that.
Absolutely.
My intuitiveness, my inner imagination, my thoughts will help me find solutions, outside the box solutions, to
Yeah.
help me. So with that son that passed on, we took his ashes into a beautiful park area that we had, and we allowed the ashes to be on the path. And my wife would regularly go down there just to be, because it was very peaceful. And where the ashes were, she would sit, and it was amazing. It happened so many days in a row. As she sat down, a butterfly would come and circle around her like this. And the first time it happened, she heard in her mind, the soul is me, the soul is free. And it gave her such a feeling of peace and love and connection. So honor and value those seemingly outer mystical things, whether you feel your loved one's communicating with you or whatever it is, there's beauty and value in that. So trust that. Love and trust.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing all that. It is so powerful, Paul. Okay. So, how do you think we can keep the essence of someone alive even after they've gone?
I I mean, I think that having pictures and having mementos, having special things, um, I wish that I had kept my father's stopwatch.
Mhm.
You know, I sold it to somebody. I look back on it and I go, that would have been beautiful to have. Not just for his memory, but to pay it forward, to give it to my son, you know, and just to have those kinds of experiences. So, but also the other thing that comes to me about that question, Mayor, is always remembering the positive parts, the memories that were positive. Imagine them as they were when they were vibrant and dynamic and clear and happy, as opposed to what they looked like in the last stages of their hospice or something, where we see a body that's faded away and so on. Remembering them in that soul way,
Mhm.
where there was some goodness there,
Mhm.
that not only creates value for me, but invariably, whatever again you believe about the life after death, it creates a positive energy of that person for that person.
Okay, Paul, one last question. Do you think every relationship has a purpose?
Oh, without a doubt, because it's my life. So I'm out there traveling in life. And even if it's a casual acquaintance where I just say hi to somebody, well, that's me having an opportunity to express myself and share and give. And I potentially can learn from that person, or it's just a fun, joyful experience. So even the most random, casual, unexpected, spontaneous engagements with people can have beautiful value if I value it. So it's up to me to find the beauty in those relationships, and some of them are even deeper. It's almost like you have a contract with that person that you need to share with that person. You need to give and receive, or you need to help them as though they're an apprentice that needs your instruction or your mentorship. So there's all kinds of different ways to take a look at that. And a lot of the work that we do and the Rise in Excellence website and the classes that we do are all meant to help people find the value in their relationships and at the same time make sure they don't lose themselves inside of their relationships. It took my daughter a long time to take herself away from the engagement of my son-in-law's disease and passing. It was so focused on that. It took her a while. It took a while for the train to settle down and go back into the station again because it was moving so strong. So everything, to me, there's a purpose in everything. And discovering what that purpose is, some of the fun adventures about it.
So, Paul, how can people reach you? How can they find you?
Well, there's two things that they can do. You and I interviewed each other in the universe of ENTV, and I think we're going to interview together in Empowered Soul Network. My wife and daughter and I are co-founders of the Facebook group, Empowered Soul Network. It's a private, niche-based group. We interview people from all over the world about their story, just like we're doing today with you. Be happy to have people raise their hands and connect, join that group. It's in a little over a year, Mary, we built that group to about 8,300 people, 8,300 members, and it's because of people telling their stories and people wanting to see the interviews. I also have a website that people can reach out to. It talks a lot about self-mastery, energy mastery, intuitive development, and so on. It's called riseinexcellence.com. Riseinexcellence.com. And people can go there. Inside of that website, they'll find a place. It's called the Rise Show. It's in the menu. And I actually have a special show, kind of like a podcast like this, where I interview people on the energy of rising in excellence, the journey of excellence, not the result, not the destination, but the feeling of excellence and what that is, the successes. And had some amazing interviews in that as well.
Thank you, Paul, for being here today for such a meaningful conversation. You reminded us that love doesn't just belong to the past, it shapes us how we live in the present. Thank you so much.
And it sets the stage for the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. This is fun, so much fun. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with your audience today.
Releasing, embracing the present, carrying forward the lessons of love. These are not linear paths, but ongoing invitations to live more honestly and gently with ourselves. Wherever you are in your journey, may you find comfort in knowing that healing doesn't mean forgetting. Presence doesn't require perfection. Love, in its truest form, expands beyond time and space. It shapes how we live, how we remember, and how we move forward. And thank you to all of you tuning in, wherever you are in your journey. May you continue to find gentleness and truth along the way. This is Grief Talk. I am Mehr, holding space for what matters most. If this conversation spoke to you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and remember, You're not alone.